The EB3 visa, a subcategory of the employment immigration visa, is a powerful option for professionals, skilled workers, and unskilled workers hoping to get permanent residency in the United States. Through the EB3 visa, a U.S. company can sponsor a foreign worker for a green card through a full-time job offer. 𝗏𝘂 Law, one of the top immigration law firms in the USA, is your trustful address for any assistance and advice regarding immigration to America. To know more, dial the number shown on your screen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our show today. I welcome everybody who are watching our show at this moment, and will also watch later in our other social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Unlike other weeks, today we will not have any question answer session, and we'll also not have any latest immigration news. Today is a special show on NIW, EB2 NIW. Many of you already know about this. Those who do not know, this is a subcategory of employment-based immigration, and NIW is one of the great tools to apply for green card and get it approved, especially those who have like a master's degree or higher degree and good experience. So today, I welcome our supervising attorney, and she's expert on EB2 NIW, especially RFE answers. I welcome 𝗦𝘂𝘆 to discuss about how to improve someone's profile to get like a better outcome in EB2 NIW applications.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. Like you said, I'm Helen. I'm supervising attorney here at 𝗏𝘂 Law. And I just wanted to talk a bit about if you're thinking about going this route for an EB2 NIW, there are some things you can do in preparation to kind of help get your case stronger and more likely, obviously, to then be approved. So that way you can be proactive instead of scrambling at the last minute to kind of find everything that you need. So if you wouldn't mind putting up my presentation that I have. All right, great. So the EB2 NIWs are for people with advanced degrees. So this either could be a bachelor's degree plus 5 years of experience, or it could be a master's degree. You could already have your PhD, or you can be obtaining your PhD. So you don't need a PhD for this. A lot of our clients tend to either currently be getting them or have them. A lot of our clients have master's degrees. Some of our clients go with the bachelor's degree and experience. So it really just depends on what fits you and your industry as to what kind of degree we use for this application. So first, to understand kind of what you need for this, you need to understand what the criteria is. So with this particular NIW, the EB2 category, you are sponsoring yourself. You don't need an employer. So in order to bypass that extra step of going through an employer, they have a bunch of like additional things that they need to do on their end. So to kind of bypass that and overcome it, you have to show that you have a proposed endeavor, something that you want to do in the future that's going to help America overall. So when we say help America, I mean something that's impactful and broad, either a region or at least a state, if not the entire country. So a lot of the people that we help are in the science industry, but not everybody's in the science industry. Sometimes, you might have someone in business, or you might have someone in something completely different that's not science. Science is just a little bit easier to show because science is science everywhere. So if you're trying to advance something, that kind of has a ripple effect across the world. But if you're doing something that's in business, you kind of have to get sometimes a little bit more creative in showing how that would help America overall. And also with these things, we have to show national initiatives to show that the United States is also interested in doing these sorts of goals. So for instance, if you have a client that wants to do something within the environment, maybe they're researching a different way of creating energy and advancing something in that area. There's a ton of national initiatives to show that America wants to do the same things. So no matter what your industry is, we do our research, we look all these things up, obviously, but it's also good for you to just have like an understanding as to what United States interest is in your particular industry, because then that way you can kind of see what kind of direction the country is going, and try and see how you might fit into that kind of category to start with. So I already mentioned proposed endeavor. So this is something that a lot of people I find struggle with, trying to find out, how they're, a lot of people are super focused on something specific. So, really technical, a lot of scientific terms that we don't technically understand, neither does the immigration office. We're attorneys, we're not in your field. So in this way, we try to help you think more broadly, think outside the box, think like the overall umbrella as to how you could help the whole country, if not a region of the country, at least a state, something like that. So we have our own tools to kind of help direct you to find and navigate that sort of a route. Because the proposed endeavor really is the heart and soul of this type of petition. So it's really hard to understand what national initiatives there might be or what makes your particular industry important for America without knowing what your proposed endeavor is. So that takes sometimes a little soul searching, a little guidance from us, but overall, we find a lot of success for, helping people trying to figure out exactly what that is. And that really is the foundation of everything else. So that's one of the most important things to kind of discuss. And we work together. It's like a partnership. Going through this type of petition in particular is definitely a partnership, because we need a lot of documents for you, like your diplomas, transcripts, but we also help you figure out what your proposed endeavor is. We know what kind of questions to ask to kind of help get you on the right track. So along with this, you have to assess your qualifications. So while you're thinking of your proposed endeavor, we also have to show that you have experience to progress towards that area. So if I say, I want to have a proposed endeavor that would help greenhouse gases and reduce that burden, but my background for whatever reason is in fashion or something like that, obviously that doesn't really mix. So you have to show that, this is what you want to do in America, and you're also likely to be successful because you have some basic experience, degrees, education. We have to show that, you have progressed towards this sort of a thing. So, you haven't just stayed at an entry-level job, or, if you are at an entry-level job, that's fine. Maybe you graduated not too long ago. So we're still showing that progression. We're showing that, you started with your bachelor's, then you have your master's, then you got an entry-level job. And we want to show, how you can proceed into the future and keep growing. So in order to show that sort of a thing, we ask, do you have any awards? Do you have any publications? Maybe the government has granted some of your projects a grant, and that shows very directly how the United States is interested in your work because they're funding it. So a lot of people that are going through their master's or PhD programs, obviously very research heavy. But if you are in an industry that doesn't have publications, that's okay too. We don't have to show publications. There's a variety of ways that we can show that you are qualified. Not all industries create publications, so it's fine. It's obviously it's helpful, and it's a little bit easier to kind of show that you do have publications, that you've been cited, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't go this route. You can absolutely go this route. We use, work projects, and we use letters of recommendation to kind of back up those work projects. And there's lots of different ways that we can show that you are qualified to continue on and progress towards your proposed endeavor. So along the way, maybe you're thinking of starting this NIW soon, or maybe you just became a student, an international student here in America, and you're just beginning your program, but you want to kind of have an idea as to your path forward, because nothing ever happens overnight, especially in immigration. There's always a process. There's things to kind of plan in advance for. So my advice would be to start as soon as possible trying to collect your evidence. Like I said, we need diplomas, we need transcripts, we need awards, even if you had a scholarship, maybe you did work on something with a grant, we need like maybe the grant number. that sort of a thing. So just kind of like keeping your paper trail, make a nice little folder on your computer and gather all of these things. So when it's time to get started, you're not scrambling and trying to say, oh, I need to go and contact this person because I lost a copy, or, I never got a copy to begin with, that sort of a thing. So kind of gathering things as they come is very helpful, just to kind of stay organized and get started off quicker, because then, sometimes if you don't have a transcript, you then have to contact the school and then they have a delay. Maybe they're on vacation because it's summer right now. A lot of people are in and out of the office, sort of a thing. So if you just kind of keep things as they come, it's a lot easier for when you do want to get started. So also along the way, maybe you are a recent grad, maybe you're currently in school, maybe you've been in the field for 5-10 years, but you need to also figure out who your potential recommenders would be. So this would normally be a supervisor, someone that worked directly on a project with you, maybe someone that co-published a publication with you. It could be a professor at school, someone that oversaw your master's thesis, or someone that's working on something with you at the doctorate level. Kind of keeping an open mind and making sure you're jotting down like their contact information. So that way, and also like if say you're in school and you're finishing up a program or something like that, at the end of the year, you can say to the professor, look, I might need a letter of recommendation in the future. It could be for this, or it could be just for like another job. It could be for pretty much anything. Would you mind if I, jotted down your contact information and, contacted you when the time was right, sort of a thing. So that way you're keeping track of phone numbers or emails, maybe connecting with people on LinkedIn if they're active. Not everybody checks their LinkedIn, but that way you can kind of message them when the time is right and you already have an idea as to who would be best for you. We typically like people to talk about something specific you've done. So that's why I say if you co-authored or had a professor, that oversaw a thesis, a publication, we need them to talk about something specific you've done. So a specific work project, if you don't have publications, from maybe a few different work jobs that you've had, or internships, something that they can specifically talk about. Because that's definitely something that USCIS likes to see. They don't like to see letters that are just overly broad saying, oh, yes, he or she are, they're super smart, they're dedicated, and they're going to be great. That's not good enough. While it's okay and nice that they are adding in what makes you impactful or unique, it just has to be more specific than that. So seek legal advice. I was introduced as someone that does a lot of RFEs, which is true. So an RFE is when someone either petitions on their own or uses a different law firm that may not have as much experience, but they submit their petition, and then it comes back saying, oh, we need more information on different things. So these RFEs kind of let us see what USCIS likes and what they don't like. What kind of arguments do they reject? So that way we can be proactive when we are writing the petitions and kind of foresee any sort of weaknesses that USCIS may have just based upon our experience, because we have a lot of clients and they are in a lot of different fields. So we have a vast array of knowledge across many different industries at this point. And that way we can kind of proactively see where your weaknesses lie and try and be proactive and fill in those gaps beforehand. So that way, obviously, the goal is to not get an RFE, and we've been very successful in doing it this way. So, a lot of people that do the EB2 NIWs, everyone is very brilliant. Our clients are very smart, very, knowledgeable, but they don't necessarily always know the best legal argument or where those holes lie in their own case. So definitely seeking out legal advice is recommended, just because we can already use our knowledge and experience to find those gaps and to help fill it in beforehand. Another way that you can be proactive is by creating a comprehensive CV. So as you are completing things, making sure that you're adding in those details. We like to see any publications on there, any awards on there. It's basically kind of like a summary of all of your accomplishments. So if you've had, maybe you've taken an extra class and you received some certificate, maybe it's a license. It depends obviously on the industry, but if you've taken like any additional courses outside of your degree, if you've taken any sort of, tests where you had to then like become a certified something or have a license, if you've worked on any projects with grants, if you've had even just a scholarship, any sort of a thing that makes you more unique than someone else should absolutely be on your CV and give as much like an overview as to what kind of person you are and what you have to offer for your petition is helpful for us and also for USCIS, because it's kind of like an easy, simple way to kind of run down your background. And part of all of this is establishing connections. So this is something that's very important just in life and in a professional sense, as well as for this petition, because you're looking for maybe advice from someone to write you a letter of recommendation. Maybe you would find someone that knows of some sort of like award sort of thing that you could apply for, and then you would therefore win the award. If you connect with people, maybe you'd be invited then to go to conferences and, talk about your industry. That's also very important. Just kind of like keeping up with everybody and seeing, you never know who knows who or what kind of knowledge they might be able to impart on you in order to help progress toward, advancing your career. It's not just good for this petition, it's good for your career as well. So it's just kind of getting those people and creating your own little village, so to speak, as to who might be able to help you progress. And like I said before, a lot of our clients are in the science field, but even if you're not, you could be in business and be an analyst or something like that. A lot of this, because just by nature, everyone has a master's degree or a bachelor's and a lot of experience, a PhD. There's lots of technical and specific knowledge that the client brings with them. So trying to understand how to communicate the details of your projects, the details of your work in a more simplified way that's easier for everyone to understand really is a skill in and of itself. Because if you're talking to, say you're an environmental scientist and you're talking to another environmental scientist and you're talking about the specific advancement that's happened, everyone's going to be on the same page because you're on the same knowledge level. Everyone's in that field. But if you're trying to convey it to someone that's not in that field, you're going to have to talk about it in a completely different way. You're going to have to kind of simplify and use, other kinds of terms, because the immigration officer, they're not in your field. That's not obviously their realm. If they were in your field, they would be, a scientist along with you. But a lot of these immigration officers obviously do not have that level of expertise or knowledge in your field. So really trying to understand how to communicate your achievements, your impact in a simple enough way that it can be conveyed in your petition is a very important skill just to have in general. So that way, when you are networking with people, say it's, something that doesn't even have to do with this petition, but you're networking with someone that's like not really in your field, you can still, in a real clearly and concise way, explain what you've done. And that's something that's important to do to advance your career, or something that's obviously very important to do for this petition as well. So plan your timeline. So like I said, if you are just maybe beginning your journey as maybe you're an international student here in America, there's different options with STEM OPT or regular OPT, CPT, just trying to not get too bogged down into like the day-to-day and have a bigger picture plan. Because a lot of the time, the days fly by, the weeks fly by, everyone is busy trying to fit in every little thing into their lives. And before you know it, you might be out of time and you're like, oh, what am I going to do? So these NIWs, it depends on your country of origin. And it also just depends on how USCIS is keeping track with things. For these EB2s, if you're outside of China or India, Philippines or Mexico, right now they're doing, I think it was up till April of 2022. So there's something called a priority date. So the sooner you get your petition in, it locks in your priority date, and that's the date that they receive your petition. So, they could take a couple of weeks or months, depending if you do priority processing or regular processing, to get back to you to say that it has been accepted or not. But you want to keep that in mind, because after you're done with your I-140 EB2 NIW petition, you then have to wait for your priority date to become current before you can file for your adjustive status, your I-485. So just kind of keeping in mind all of those things. They are currently progressing, I believe, next August bulletin just came out, and they did progress a couple of months. So right now they are progressing, but that doesn't mean they always will. They might fall back in time a little bit. So you're really not sure right now, maybe 1 to 2 years if you're outside of those countries I mentioned. But, it really can change. And obviously we can't really predict what's going to happen with them. So you don't ever want to just say, oh, well, they're progressing, I'll be okay, because they could retrograde like at any possible time. So you really want to kind of be proactive, not let too much time pass, and really just give yourself an extra space, if at all possible, just to kind of give yourself peace of mind. And otherwise, here's our contact information. Obviously, you already have found us if you're watching this video on YouTube or LinkedIn or another social media channel. But we have free consultations, we have paid consultations, we have a free NIW evaluation form where you can see how your profile stands as it is now. And we're here and we're ready to help you, with all of these different moving parts. And, we're happy to answer any questions if you send in anything.
Thank you very much, Helen, for your great presentation. I hope our prospective clients will get a lot of benefit out of this. And I welcome everybody to submit your free NIW evaluation in our website, in the home page, kind of like if you scroll down in the middle of the page, there's a button called click here for free NIW evaluation. If you want to talk to me or Helen, you can go to our website, take appointments. There's a free appointments and paid appointments. Of course, it's easy to get paid appointments faster, but because sometimes those free appointments, people book it until like next 4 or 5 months. I understand the dynamics. So next Sunday, we will talk about like our regular session will be there. I will talk about adjustment of status, those who come to America with a visit visa, B1 or B2 visa, how they can change their status from B1, B2 to F1 and other kind of status. I'll talk about that in next Sunday. After that, Sunday, the 30th of this month, me, Helen, and Chelsea Smith, our another lead attorney, we will have a NIW town hall. So people all over the world, they will be able to join and they will ask questions directly to us. And we will answer all of your questions. So from now to next 15 days, get ready with your questions. We will answer all of them. It will be a 1-hour session, at least 30 minutes, probably 1-hour session. So we'll be able to answer all the questions. Until next Sunday, have a wonderful weekend and have a great day.
The EB3 visa, a subcategory of the employment immigration visa, is a powerful option for professionals, skilled workers, and unskilled workers hoping to get permanent residency in the United States. Through the EB3 visa, a U.S. company can sponsor a foreign worker for a green card to a full-time job offer. Raju Law, one of the top immigration law firms in the USA, is your trustful address for any assistance and advice regarding immigration to America. To know more, dial the number shown on your screen.